Everyone have a good Thanksgiving? Yeah? What was your favorite food you had? Stuffing? Cheerwine, that's not food, but okay. Mac and cheese. I had two things. My mom made two different types of mac and cheese, and I ate a lot of it. It was absolutely amazing. So this is our last week of the series At Odds, and we've been talking about this. This is taking two things that people believe are 100% in conflict with each other and seeing what happens. I got to experience that yesterday. I got to go to the Clemson-Carolina game. Same. You were there? Oh, I didn't see you. I went. My uncle and his cousins, so his two daughters, I went with them. They're Carolina fans. I am a Clemson fan, so that was fun. We went. We tailgated. It was a good time. So crazy thing, though, I got to see the conflict when a bunch of people at like 10:40 in the morning came through the tailgate and started cussing me out because of what I was wearing. It was hilarious. What? Clemson. I was wearing Clemson because I am a Clemson fan. So they just started cussing. And I have my cousins, who one is in 8th grade, and it's like, okay, have a good day, sir. Please leave. And it was crazy. It was just because of what I was wearing. Also, he was drinking a lot. But it gets people, man, crazy, this world. So we're going in this idea of looking at that at 100% conflict. But the crazy thing is, even with Clemson and Carolina, you need both of them to have a game. So even one side's like, oh, I hate you, and the other side's like, oh, I hate you more. Without each other, there'd just be one team on the field. So you still need them both. And to have a decent game, like two teams also still have to show up for that, for them to even play each other. So now we're coming in this idea of faith in science, our last week talking about that. But when we approach science from the perspective of God, believing that God is the one who created it, we actually learn a lot more about who God is. But we have to know that going in, and we talked about this a few weeks ago. Science is all about asking how, and it forgets about the who. So we have to remember who created it, who created the world, who created science. And we start coming in, and we learn a lot more about that. Asking how God's creation works is one of the biggest things. That's how we figure it out. Just like in science class, math class, English class, history, we ask how. And we raise our hands. If we don't understand something in class, we ask, like, can you explain this better to me? I need to understand how this works. Now, because if you guys get homework and you don't ask that question, what happens? You don't, or you guess. And the only reason that's helpful if it's true or false, because it's a 50-50, right? How many guys do you know, you just close your eyes and pick one? It's like, you go with C, true or false, you go with C. Yeah, and that's why you failed. That's why this is your third year of 8th grade. Because it's true or false, it's A or B. Never C or true or false. I don't know how you guys take tests anymore, okay? So anyway, we're going with this idea, like you ask those questions. In science class, when something comes up, you ask, like, hey, can you explain that more? You got to figure that out. Asking how God's creation works can actually be a great thing for our faith because it points us back to God who created it. It points us back to it. But sometimes we're not willing to ask those questions. Like in school, we have to because we want to make a good grade or we actually want to learn. In church, sometimes we don't really ask any questions. We're just because we're here. And we're like, you know what? I'm just going to take it at face value. I'm just going to understand, learn, and just repeat whatever the guy on the stage says. Instead of asking those tough questions. But I love you guys. I love 7th and 8th graders because you have another question in your back pocket that you always use. Why? Why do we do it this way? Or why do I need to do that? So growing up, you got used to asking that question. This probably drives your parents crazy, though. If your parents ask you, hey, clean your room. Why? Why do I need to clean? my bathroom too. Why do I need to clean my room? Why do I need to do that? And they usually respond with what? Because I said so. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be fair here. That is a terrible reason, right? Like when you're really, because at 7th and 8th grade, you guys are really wanting to know. Like you're asking these questions to figure it out. Like you're trying to figure out life. And then the response is because I said so. If you went to school and you asked the teacher, why is this formula, like why is it this way? And they responded, because I said so, they should be fired. Because that's not the appropriate, no, that's not how this works. This isn't how this works. Like I really want to know. But here we are in learning about God. You can ask that question, why? Because one, it pushes us to dig into it. And you should be asking why when you're reading the Bible too. And then look at it, study it. Now, if your parents, which I can't wait one day to answer these questions, like why? It's like, well, your room smells. Like all your feet stink. That's why you need to take a shower. Your body, you guys are going through puberty, so your hormones are through the roof. That's why your room is dirty. Like you're sweating now. Everyone, raise your arms up. Everyone, raise your arm. Everyone. Now look around. People that didn't raise their arms up didn't put on deodorant. Okay, they're ashamed. Now everyone's hands are up. Oh, yeah. It's normal. It's a process. But why do I need to clean my room? It's because it's dirty. Like, explain it. Explain. I'm fine. Like, hey, I can tell you why that guy cussed me out. Because he was drunk. I understand that. I didn't get mad. I laughed at him. It was funny. But be able to ask that question, why? Why? Why do I have to go to school? Because I don't want you to be dumb. I want you to learn. Some of your teachers, probably the same way. Some of your teachers, why do they go to school? To get paid. No, they don't, but that's a good reason. Some of those teachers go because they actually care, because they do not get paid at all. She deserves a nap, okay? Do you take a nap? I'm not getting on you for taking a nap. Hey, teachers teach, okay? Shoot your shot. So we got this idea now. Why? You guys, listen, you can ask tough questions. You can. You have that ability. The question is, do you want to? Do you want to ask tough questions? Sometimes what I learn in science class doesn't teach me more about God. It gives me more questions about God, especially now. So we're growing up. It's 2019, about to be 2020, which is crazy. And I'm having these conversations. My cousin is in 8th grade, so we're bringing up, making jokes and everything. And it comes to this point. It's like there's now multiple genders, and it's a given thing that's being taught now. It's not male and female. Even though if we're going back to science class and we're really looking into the why, how does this work? When a baby comes out, it is a male or female. That is science. It's the basic. When a baby comes out, it is born, there is a male or female. And if you need to ask me, how do I know that or why that is, we can talk about that after. But there is a difference. So we're getting into science class and we get rid of God as soon as we walk into school. It's like, because God's not allowed in here, so I'm not going to bring him in here. But that's not true. That's not how it should be. Like God is always going with us. Because guys, there's times when you are going to doubt God. There's going to be times in your life when you doubt. And listen, that is okay. Doubting is okay. Doubting is a part of life. Like guys, I have to go home and I have to do laundry. I have to. It's been Thanksgiving. I've been eating. I haven't done my chores. I have to do that. But guess what? In the back of my mind, I'm doubting myself. Am I going to do laundry today? Even though I have to do it. But I'm like, man, I could take a nap. There's football. I need to eat. And that laundry is slowly going down on my list. I'm even doubting that. All of us are going to encounter things in our lives that challenge our faith. You are going to run into so many things that is going to challenge your faith. And one thing I want to say, it is okay to have your faith challenged. It is all right. You should want that. Because when your faith is challenged, your faith grows. Because sometimes we come to church and we listen, we're like, Jesus is good, Jesus is great. And we repeat that, and we go to the real world, and someone asks us, well, how do you know that? And we fall away from our faith. You guys have to go to school. And school is teaching you a lot of things, a lot of great things. It's teaching us about history. It's teaching us about math, science, how everything works. But it also has a different agenda than what our faith has. And don't get me, I'm not telling you, like, riot against your school. You have to go. Like, you learn a lot. You are able to read. You are able to learn from it. And those are great things. But sometimes school is teaching you something totally different, and it challenges your faith. But again, that is all right. Some of you guys, your family is teaching you something different or challenges your faith. Like some of us, we grow up, and some of us, I saw you looking around, like, what do you mean by that? Some of you guys, like, your parents don't believe in God. Like, the reason I'm here is because of my grandma. My grandma loved God and loved me, and she was able to take me to church. Some of you guys chose to come to church by yourselves, and I'm proud of you. That is super awesome. But some of you guys, like your parents, your grandparents, whoever's taking care of you, your stepdad, stepmom, like, they don't believe in God. And so that kind of challenges your faith. I hope you guys don't experience this, but I'd say some of you guys have. But you, as an 8th or 7th grader, believe in God, and you have a parent in the household that thinks you're dumb for believing that. That's a challenge. That shakes you. My parents, like, they didn't really do the walk with Christ until later in their lives, but they never challenged me on it. Some of you guys have to deal with that. That's tough. And the next one is life. Not all of us get a super amazing life we're going to live. Like I told you guys my story. My dad's in jail, divorced, mom had breast cancer, house burned down 3 times. That will challenge your faith if you're not careful. If I didn't have my seeds planted, if I didn't know who Jesus was and he loved me through all that, I don't know where I'd be. Wouldn't be here. But sometimes life is going to challenge us. We're like, God must hate me. My tire blew out. It's like, slow down. It's okay. Your parents are getting divorced. That's not fair. That's not. But that's part of life for some of us. Some of you guys, your parents are together, and you don't have that thought in the world that how amazing a blessing that is to have two parents still together that love each other. I wish I had that. We're going to have things that are going to challenge our faith. It's okay to have doubts, though. It's okay to have doubts. Do you guys think I've ever doubted God? Yeah, of course. One of the things I always think about, I have no idea how old this earth is. That's one of the first things I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask God, what is a day to you? Because we see the earth is created in 6 days. He took a day off at the end. He deserved it. But was 7 days God's 7 days? Or is like one day to God 10,000 years, which would line up? But guess what? We don't know. That's always one of those things. I'm like, how old is this earth really? Like, how old is this universe? That's always, like, I'm curious about that. So today we're talking about a guy in the Bible. He's known for doubting. Does anyone know his name? Doubting Thomas. Everyone say that. Doubting Thomas. And he gets this bad rap because that's his name. Like, people know him as Doubting Thomas. And so he gets this idea that now everything that happens, he's always doubting it. But we're going to read this and dive into the character of Thomas. Because the cool thing is, everyone in the Bible, just like every person here, you have a different character. We're not all the same. Like, we are made differently. Every single one of us. So if you guys open up your Bibles, John 20, 24 through 31. If you guys didn't get a Bible, we have Bibles back there. We also have it up here on the screen. If you have the Bible app, you can pull that out. But one of the 12 disciples, Thomas, nicknamed the twin. That's cool also to have a cool nickname. Like, could you imagine, like, Jesus out there passing out nicknames to different people? So not instead of calling him Thomas, he might call him the twin. I think that's cool, was not with the others when Jesus came. So this is after Jesus has died. He's resurrected. He came back. After being dead for 3 days, he came back, and Thomas wasn't there. They told him, Thomas, "We have seen the Lord." But he replied, "I won't believe it unless I see the nail wounds in his hands, put my fingers into them, and place my hands into the wound in his side." That's where he gets the nickname, Doubting Thomas. He's like, I don't, prove it to me. Prove it to me that Jesus was really alive. Now, without knowing who Thomas is, without knowing his character, just like we do all the time, we judge Thomas on this one act. All right, he's a doubter. Probably his faith is probably super weak. And just like looking at us, like if you guys, when we look at our friends or we see people in a bad place, we see one thing about them, we judge them. We're like, that guy doesn't believe in Jesus. Who is Thomas, though? Let's do a little study. Who is this guy? So, Thomas has 3 speaking parts in the Bible. He speaks 3 times in the Bible. It's written down, and there's 3 stories with him. So the first one is a story of when they are about to go raise Lazarus from the dead. So if you guys haven't heard that story, Lazarus, good friend Jesus, he dies. Jesus goes, brings this man back to life. But to get there, they had to go to Judea. Now, the thing about Judea, if Jesus would have approached and went into Judea, they would have killed him. All right? They would have killed him, and the disciples knew this. One disciple said, "Let's do it. I'm with you. Ride or die." Take a shot in the dark. Which disciple that was? Thomas. Doubting Thomas? The guy that we just read that was doubting if Jesus is back from the dead was the one that's like, "Let's go, even though we're probably going to die, but I'm fine dying with you." Yeah, that Thomas. So he was fine with that. So we're starting to, okay, well, and why is he doubting? Why is he getting this nickname Doubting Thomas? Because right there, we see that he also knows that Jesus brought a man back from the dead. And right there, he's like, listen, I'm fine. Let's go through Judea. If we die, it's fine. I'm going to die with you, Jesus. So we start reading these characteristics of who he is. Also, we can see and pick out a few things. Thomas was a negative Nancy, if you will. How many of you guys have that friend? You know, the glass is half full, the glass is half empty. How many of you guys have the friend that's half empty? Thomas was probably like a half empty kind of guy. Like he knew what was going to happen, but he always thought the worst. Like if we go to Judea, we will probably die. But, you know, dying's better with Jesus. So he's looking at it that way. But then we also have this other time, the Last Supper, when Jesus gives out this incredible thing, this is my body, this is my blood, eat it. Thomas questions Jesus. He questions it. He's like, can you make this message clearer? The message you are giving is really hard to understand. Can you make it a little bit more simple? Is Thomas dumb? Like what? How can you not understand this? But Thomas wants it clear. He's asking how. He's asking why. He's asking tough questions because he wants to completely understand the message of God. He wants to know who Jesus really is. And the reason he's doing that is if he's ever questioned, if it ever comes back to him, he wants to be able to stand up for his faith that he believes. He's not just taking, hey, Jesus, just because you're saying this, I want to know how I can prove this. I want to know who you are. I want to have a real relationship with you. He wanted his faith to be real and strong. It's okay to ask tough questions. So now we're coming back. Now we got this idea who Thomas is. So keep reading. In verse 26, 8 days later, the disciples were together again, and this time Thomas was with them. The doors were locked, but suddenly, as before, Jesus was standing among them. "Peace be with you," he said. Why did Jesus say, "Peace be with you"? Huh? No, this has already happened. Jesus already came back from the dead. Nope. Huh? Yeah. So usually when you see peace be with you, the angels are saying that so you wouldn't poop your pants. Like imagine you guys are in your house, the doors are locked, there's no way anyone can get in, and I just pop out of the corner. I'm like, peace be with you. It would just be like, how did you get in our house, Chris? How did you get in our house? How do you know where I live? Like, magic. But, so Jesus does this. As they say, the doors were locked, but suddenly, as before, Jesus was standing among them. He's just there. He's like, peace be with you, because he didn't want to scare them. Also, every time you see the angels come to people, that's their reaction, peace be with you, because we don't know really what an angel looks like. We think we do from like just reading about it, but they might be terrifying. Who knows? Because their first reaction every single time is, peace be with you, don't be afraid. So we think about that, had to be pretty scary. Jesus just pop up in the corner. Even though he's probably glowing and happy and smiling, it was still scary to turn around. There he is. Peace be with you. It's like, oh, God, it's Jesus again. Then he said to Thomas, put your finger here and look at my hands. Put your hands into the wounds in my side. Don't be faithless any longer. Believe. Who did Jesus come back for? Thomas. He came back to them just for Thomas. And not only did he come back for Thomas, he quoted and did everything that Thomas asked. He answered all of his questions. He proved it to Thomas. Don't be faithless any longer. Believe. My Lord and my God, Thomas exclaimed. Then Jesus told him, you believe because you have seen me. Blessed are those who believe without seeing me. Do you think Jesus was mad? No. Do you think he was angry? Why? Start getting, think, that's a cool thing. Asking these questions. Why wasn't Jesus mad? Wouldn't you be mad if you were the God of the universe, you had this guy in your group, you showed love to him all this time, and then the final days, he didn't believe that you came back? Would you be mad? If one of your best friends, your 12 best friends, didn't believe you were back after doing all these miracle signs, after you were there to see him bring someone back from the dead, and he's like, I'm going to do that too, and he didn't believe it? I don't know. I think I'd be a little upset and be like, Thomas, why wouldn't you believe? That's a crazy thing, though. Jesus came back just to show Thomas, be like, listen, I care about you. I care about the relationship I have with you. So I'm coming back just for you, to show you this. And I want you guys to look. The rest of this you can read. It just talks about the other miracles that happens. But the word believe is used 4 times. 4 times in this passage. Don't be faithless any longer. Believe. Then Jesus told him, you believe because you have seen. Blessed are those who believe without seeing me. You know, I just realized I missed one of those. It's actually used 5 times. But these are written so that you may continue to believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing in him, you will have life by the power of his name. It is okay to have doubts. If doubts lead to questions, and questions lead to answers, and answers are accepted, then doubt has done good. It has done a good thing. Again, if you have those doubts, you can't just sit on them, though. What do you have to do? Ask questions. And with those questions, you have to get answers. Dig for those answers. Ask multiple people for those answers. And then once you get those answers, fact check. Go to multiple leaders. Be like, okay, you all agree in this one thing. Next, take it to the Bible. What does it say in the Bible about that? Listen, we're able to look at Thomas and figure out who he is, but we had to look through other passages in the Bible. We had to pull out 3 other stories that Thomas is in, or we could have stuck with this idea, he's just doubting Thomas, that's it. But we have to be careful because doubts can also hurt us. When doubt becomes stubbornness, when you just don't want to believe, when you just don't want to accept what other people are saying, when you know that it might be true, but you're just like, no, that's not. Stubbornness becomes pride. Now you're just doing it just to do it. Then that lifestyle can hurt your life, can hurt your faith, because you're not willing to ask questions anymore. You're not willing to ask hard questions. Let doubt deepen your faith. Let doubt deepen your faith and keep asking tough questions. We can still love, know, and follow God even if we don't understand everything about him, how he works. We can still love, know, and follow God even if we don't understand everything about how he works. Listen, God came back to Thomas for a relationship. He came back for a relationship. Jesus died on the cross for us for a relationship. As we go through this series, we start looking at this idea. It's all about the who. Who created us? Who created us? Science is always going to be here. Asking tough questions is a great thing. Doubt is a great thing because it makes you question, but you have to ask them. I want to pray for you guys as we go to group. But I want you to be thinking this idea. What's one step I can take to learn more about God? What's one step I can take to learn more about God? Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for sending your son to die on a cross for all of us. He wanted a relationship with every single one of us. Thanks for making us different in all different ways. God, you are amazing. And everyone said, amen.